This gameplay video is brought to you by Brandon Drennan. A massive thank you, Brandon. Omnath Locus of Creation versus Maelstrom Wanderer. I wonder if there's any of the new Cascade cards in there. I need to update my Maelstrom Wanderer list. Didn't like that opening hand, so obviously decided to mulligan. There we have no green. But we do have lands. Yeah, let's keep that and we'll throw away the protection. Play in the Shockland tapped and keep our fingers crossed for a green land at this point. Well, there's another land. It's not a green one, unfortunately. Might have to use the Cavern of Souls for green to get Scoot Swarm out, and then at least we can do something. Let's play the Plateau and pass again. And then we get into a big Omnath, so let's just go for the Cavern of Souls. We'll name Insect with that. Let's throw ourselves out a Scoot Swarm. Risen Reef for our opponent will help them ramp, I would think. They get into a Shockland with that. And the lands keep coming, but can't manage to get into a green one, unfortunately. So it's just a Steam Vents, and we'll make an Insect with Scoot Swarm. Explosive Vegetation from our opponent will put them only a turn or two away from their commander. Yeah, they've got 7 mana there, so if they drop a land next turn, we're going to see Maelstrom Wanderer. Just another big spell for us, so I don't think we're destined to do anything this game. And of course our opponent does manage to make a land, so they go in for their commander, getting themselves 2 big spells in Atali and Mind's Dilation, and then watch them get a green land with Atali. From us they got, they got a Savannah off the top of our library, got themselves an Overgrowth. Let's just block the Maelstrom Wanderer, because we want to keep as much commander damage off of ourselves as possible. There's a Wheel of Fortune. Let's try our luck with Wheel of Fortune. Exiling the top card with Mind's Dilation, getting rid of Rhythm of the Wild, that's fine. Our opponent goes up a couple of cards. Gaia's Cradle isn't half bad. Yeah, especially with Azusa. Let's get down the Gaia's Cradle. Tap that for 3 mana. Drop the Azusa. And then we can go for another land, and now Scoot Swarm is going to start going crazy, so we might be able to keep up with our opponent here if we're lucky. Let's get down the Nature's Law. That can be Ketria Triome, and then we'll just drop the Volcanic Island as well. So there we are, plenty of blockers now at least. Just like that, thanks to the Wheel of Fortune. Let's turn 2 of these creatures in sideways. I'm more than happy for them to trade the Risen Reef. The problem is our opponent's got 8 cards available to them now. And even more cards available to them with a Soul of the Harvest, assuming that they can make creatures. And that is an elemental, so it triggers the Risen Reef, brings in a land. And then Thrasios, Triton Hero, triggers the Soul Harvest for another card draw. They do have the 4 mana held up for the Thrasios there. But instead deciding to take themselves into a Wood Elves, that gets them a forest and a card from Soul of the Harvest. Then deciding to swing in with a Tali, getting themselves into Chandra, Torch of Defiance. They get our Chromatic Lantern. Luckily we've managed to fix our colours eventually. I think we definitely block with the Atali here. So how many have we got there? 4, 8 and 9. So if they buff the Atali, they get rid of more Scoot Swarms than they should do. Maybe I should just play around a burn spell. I don't want to lose too many if we're not going to get rid of the Atali. So we'll block with 7, and then if they burn one out of the way, then we still get rid of Atali there. Plus it's good to get rid of Scoot Swarms on Magic Online because it does tend to buckle the client. Getting rid of their Dinosaur anyway. And then Azusa going down to Chandra's Flame Strike, or whatever it's called, Flame Slash. Ending the turn with a Mind Stone. And then it's round to us. We get Ephemerate, so let's just go for Omnath in that case. And our opponent gets Nissa Vital Force. I think the Mind's Dilation is what's going to win our opponent the game here. We'll draw a card with Omnath, get into Lotus Cobra. Let's go for Ephemerate. Onto the Omnath. Try and draw a card again. And get back into that Teferi's Protection. So in that case, we've got 12 mana there. Let's go Avenger of Zendikar. That gets us into a load more tokens for blocking with. And we'll go Smothering Tithe. And now we can't hold up the mana for the protection anyway, so we might as well go Lotus Cobra. And try and kill some time. I'll probably block with the Omnath actually, just for the sake of getting some card draw going next turn if we can recast it again. Our opponent exiles the top card of the library with Chandra, and it is Xenagos, God of Revels. Doesn't enable trample, thankfully. Although they do have a big trample creature in the form of Soul of the Harvest here. Getting down the Xenagos straight away. And another creature enters, so they go up to 7 cards with the Harvest. We've had a couple of treasure tokens so far. Hopefully they'll forget to plus Nissa. They could always minus down on it to get a permanent. They did go for the minus there. Not sure what they grabbed. They grabbed the Atali back again. It is going to have haste. And it's uncounterable thanks to our Rhythm of the Wild. I think we just chump Atali this time. Get another card draw with the Harvest. Going up to 8 in hand. Then Clever Impersonator. Coming as a copy of any permanent. And they choose to copy our Avenger of Zendikar. Which means they'll get even more plants than we have. Putting the plants on the stack last so that they resolve first. Because they might get a land with Risen Reef. Drawing a card with the Elemental first. And yeah, they did get themselves into a land there, so it's a plus counter on all these plants. I think we did quite well to get back into it, considering how long we had to go without green mana. But our opponent was always going to steamroll us with a Maelstrom Wanderer deck, I think. Because we didn't get into any answers quickly enough. Chrome Mox now. And they put a Fertile Ground under that. Then go for Cultivate for landfall again. Then Xenagos is going to trigger. And they put the buff on Atali, which doesn't have haste, so they're just trying to keep hold of it, I think. 1 Power Stone from the Atali. They take our Scapeshift, so yeah, they can definitely win here. They just replace all the lands they sacrifice, put a bunch of plus counters onto the plants, and they'll be able to go wide on us here. So there we are, getting however many triggers that is on the Avenger. I don't think they've grabbed any lands that are particularly interesting. They've got some gates in here, which is noteworthy. But I think it's just a slightly more budget mana base, that's all. Don't think they're going for any wins with gates. Yeah, it's mostly dual lands. So there's not much sense in blocking here. Our opponent has a bunch of 15, 16 plants. There's a little bit of trample in play, but I think we are always going to lose that one, so might as well just take it, go down to minus 217. And yeah, we weren't drawing into anything there. Just didn't get into the green mana quickly enough. It was always a risky keep. I think we should try again and redeem ourselves. Saw the same player up again and decided to have a rematch with them. Hopefully they don't mind. We've got all of our colours available to us there, so we'll definitely keep that. We're on the draw, so hopefully we'll get into some ramp, and hopefully our opponent won't. Just a tap land for us, so we will follow suit with a tap land of our own. Then they get into another tap land, another land for us, 41 in the deck, I think. So we'll just get out a tap land as well. Probably go Wayward Sawtooth next turn and get a lot of these lands out. Wayward Sawtooth and Raminat would be good if we can get into a fetch. And there's the first bit of ramp in Mana Vault, which takes them into Acquire. Search for an artifact and put it onto the battlefield under your control. I think Akroma's Memorial is the most exciting one we've got. And that's in our hand, so they'll probably just take a Sol Ring or something here. And they go for Mana Crypt instead. Curious that they didn't go for the Sol Ring, because yeah, this has the chance to bolt them, unlike Sol Ring. Anyhow, we'll go Volcanic Island in for the Wayward Swordtooth, and we'll get down yet another tap land. Now deciding to untap the Mana Vault, so I'm guessing that their plan is to just go in for Maelstrom Wanderer, as is usually the case with Maelstrom Wanderer players. They will have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 mana next turn. So let's go for... yeah, we can play both of these lands, can't we? Probably should have played a white land last turn, actually, because then we can... yeah, then we would have been able to go for landfall twice with Locus of Creation, so that's a misplay on my part. Anyhow, we'll go for the Omnath, which draws us a card, gets us into crop rotation. Let's play Cavern of Souls. And we'll just name Elemental with that. That gains us 4 life, and then if we get another land into play here, which I may well do, then we can go Gaia's Cradle maybe. So let's tap it for mana, because I'll probably sacrifice the Cavern of Souls. I don't think there'll be too much counter magic from our opponent. Let's go for the crop rotation now. Go for Gaia's Cradle. That gets us into some mana, and we can tap down the Gaia's Cradle as well. Let's go for Nissa. And then we can untap. Let's just untap this one. Tap it down for mana straight away, and we'll get down the Raminat while we can. And then if our opponent wants to go in for Maelstrom Wanderer, we can quite comfortably block with the Omnath, I think. Game Trail coming down, and that has them reveal a Mountain, so we know one of the cards that's in their hand with that. Looks like this is Maelstrom Wanderer now. Yep, Cascade twice. Getting to Beast Within. And Beast Within goes on to the Nissa. Then they get themselves into a Swiftfoot Boots as well. 2 mystery cards in hand. And deciding not to attack, fair enough. How's about... we go Lotus Cobra then. We'll play the Cavern of Souls. Name Elemental again. That will gain us 4 life with Omnath. And then we're probably just going in for the Akroma's Memorial here. And that way we'll actually be able to start swinging in at our opponent. And we've also got the Teferi's Protection held up as well, so that's good. We've also got protection from red, which is relevant against the Maelstrom Wanderer. So we swing in over the head of all of our opponent's creatures, and they can only take 1 more hit like that, because they're down to 15 already. Untapping the Mana Vault with 4 mana, curiously. And then it's Kessig Wolfrun. That can lay on some trample damage. Not really too worried about Maelstrom Wanderer commander damage, because they haven't laid any on us yet. Alright, Genesis Wave, where X is 7, that might be worrying. They've got an Acidic Slime there. Everything else we're not really too fussed about, to be honest. Bunch of lands. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. Then some ramp in Wild Growth and Sky Shroud Claim. And they go after the Akroma's Memorial with Acidic Slime, as you would think. So we go for our Teferi's Protection. And they haven't played the Mountain, so we know that they've got a Mountain in hand still. No point in them swinging in because they can't hit us. They do put some plus counters on all of their stuff by manacing down with Nissa. There's a Tundra for us. I think we've got enough to deal lethal here. Yeah, and our opponent scoops there. That is 11, 14, 15 and 16, so we've got exactly enough to get rid of them. So yeah, managing to redeem ourselves there. Our opponent got 1 and we got 1. Hopefully you all enjoyed this revisit to Omnath Locus of Creation. More Commander Legends stuff to come soon. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.